Hi everyone, welcome to Raise Charity Day. Today we're going to talk to you about mental health and our charity, Pandas Foundation. Now more than ever, it is important to be aware about mental health. It affects how we think, feel, and also determines how we react to different circumstances. Our mental well-being is dynamic, which means that it can change from one moment to the next. So someone that appears fine one day could be struggling the day after. It can affect anyone at any time, and mental health problems can appear in a variety of different ways. This means that you might not always be aware that someone is struggling with their mental health, so it is important to be there for others at all times. With increasing amounts of time being spent away from people you normally socialise with due to the current situation, it is important to try to stay connected with them in different ways.
Current situation, many people feel worried, scared or helpless, but you should remember it is good to share your concerns. For many people, talking about their mental health can be hard as there is a social stigma surrounding it. However, talking about your feelings is normal and is very important. If you don't feel you can talk to someone in person about how you feel, there are many different helplines, websites or apps that you can turn to. For example, Calm, Mind and Kooth. On all of these, you're able to talk anonymously about how you feel, and this can be a huge help with your mental health.
While social isolation is a crucial measure to tackle the current COVID-19 crisis, the worry and distance from loved ones can be tough on our mental health. Here are 6 tips to help reduce stress and protect your mental health during this difficult time. Maintain familiar routines as much as possible, or create new ones. Still having a structure for your daily life at home brings a sense of normality and can be especially important for children. If you're working from home, try to set boundaries for a better work-life balance. A good tip is to add your working hours to your calendar. Take care of yourself. Try and ensure you get adequate sleep, eat well, and engage in physical activity. Take a media break. Constantly watching the latest news about COVID-19 can cause anyone to feel anxious and distressed. Instead, seek news from trusted sources at specific times of day, ideally only once or twice. Protect yourself and support others. Shifting focus to help others, whether it's phoning neighbors to check in on them or helping a friend in need, can boost your mood and theirs. Connect and share positivity. Even in difficult situations like this, there are still good news stories and examples of hope and recovery in every community. Amplify these messages by sharing them with friends, family, and colleagues. Use strategies that have helped you relieve stress in the past. You know yourself best, and so think about what calms you and boosts your mood. Finding a way to exercise, connecting with friends, make these activities a priority in your day. Try to separate what's in your control from what's not. Focus on the things you can do to help, like washing your hands, staying at home, and checking in with your community, rather than taking on worries you can't solve. For more advice on looking after your mental health, follow the World Health Organization's Healthy at Home hashtag on social media platforms, or visit www.who.int.
Ray House charity this year is Pandas Foundation, and we want to tell you a little bit more about the charity and the work that they do. Pandas is a charity that supports families suffering from mental illness, relating in particular to prenatal and postnatal depression. Their aim is to make sure that no parent, family, or carers feels alone, and they have a variety of support services available to ensure help is delivered in a way suitable to the person. They believe that no one suffering from any form of mental illness should feel that they are alone.
So actually, what is prenatal and postnatal depression? Prenatal depression occurs during pregnancy, and it has many different symptoms that affect how you feel both mentally and physically. Postnatal depression is a common problem that occurs after pregnancy. It affects more than 1 in 10 women. Postnatal depression doesn't just affect women. It can also affect dads and partners as well. As postnatal depression can present itself in many different ways. Lots of parents don't realize they have the condition and it can develop gradually over time.
All these natural things that you should feel as a mother didn't come to me at all, or very easily to me. And I just felt really disappointed in myself that I wasn't this sort of eternal natural mother who could, breastfeed and, do the cooking and the cleaning at the same time. It just didn't happen for me.
As soon as I gave birth, I hoped that I'd have that gushing of love and excitement, but it wasn't there. I just felt really low and down. At the beginning I just thought it was depression, because I have recurrent depression. The point is that I was breastfeeding is something much imposed in Italy. I wasn't asked whether I felt comfortable breastfeeding or not, and I hated it.
I think every night after I had him, I was up crying and Rupert was screaming, and the amount of times I had to go into hospital, the amount of times that the midwives came over, and I just started getting more and more and more down.
I felt exhausted. I felt so tired that I couldn't take care of myself, and having this baby to take care of was terrible for me. But the worst feeling was that I didn't feel considered anymore as a person or as a woman. I was just the mother.
It was more than baby blues. It was generally a feeling of just not being able to cope.
It wasn't until my baby was 2 months old that I finally admitted to myself that I had postnatal depression. I was crying all the time non-stop, and it frustrated me because I couldn't explain to anyone what was going on in my head.
Postnatal depression affects about 10 to 15% of women after the baby is born. But we have to also bear in mind that due to a variety of reasons, women don't talk about their condition.
I hired a cleaning lady because I couldn't make it anymore alone. And she saved my life because she was the only interaction I had with the world. And coming in the morning, she would ask me how I felt. She would always say, "How are you? Have you eaten? Have you slept? Did you have any rest?" And she offered, to take care of the baby while I was resting, which for me was a huge relief. Somebody was finally understanding me. I do feel there's such a stigma against this because as soon as you admit that you have postnatal depression, you think to yourself that you're admitting that you can't cope and that it's not cut out for you. And also you worry about the sort of people that will get involved.
No one's going to take your baby off you. That would be my biggest thing, because it's so worrying thinking that if I talk about it, is someone going to think that I'm a bad mum and take, your baby away from you? And they're not. Your baby is in the safest place with you. And that was the reason why I didn't talk about it for ages, because I was just so scared that someone was going to come to my house and take Rupert away from me.
There is a fear among many that if the mothers disclose their symptoms during pregnancy or afterwards, that the baby might be removed by the social services. This is certainly not true. And if you feel isolated or if you feel alone, please remember that you are not alone.
What I really want to urge is that for me, it wasn't anything that I felt towards my baby. It was more feelings that I had in myself, that something wasn't right.
This is an illness and it needs care, it needs support and treatment like any other health condition. And with appropriate care, full recovery is possible.
It was less about Rupert and it was just more about my ability as a mum and just really finding a bit of me time. If someone said to me, a happy mum is a happy baby, and at the time I thought, well, no, there's nothing more important to Rupert than Rupert, but actually, I can't look after Rupert unless I look after myself. I try and identify things that I like doing, or even little things, like, for example, I buy flowers and have them around the house. The colours I discovered help me. I love him to bits. He is the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me. I look at him in the morning and, he's so excited to see me and I'm so excited to see him, and you just think, actually, no, it's fine and they love you. Now the difference is that I think about her when she's not around. I want to touch and hug her when she's around, and I can recall a smell when she's not around. And these are all things that I can't recall of her. It was 8 months, 1 year.
So I missed a lot of her, and I'm very happy not to miss her now.
The money that you donate to this charity will go towards helping parents, families and carers to ensure that no one feels alone. It will enable the many different support services that are available to stay running, which will mean that there is always someone to go to for anyone suffering from prenatal or postnatal depression. As all of the people that work for this charity are volunteers, your money will go straight to helping out with the costs of maintaining the services available. We'd like to thank you in advance for anything you will donate to this worthy charity.
And finally, we just wanted to say at the end, obviously, it's just as important to look after your own mental health during this lockdown especially, and for us doing online lessons, we realised that online lessons, staring at a screen all day, is not the best thing it's not as enjoyable. Obviously, you're not with your friends, but just looking at a screen all day can actually have a bad effect on your mental health, even if you don't realise it, especially for us as teenagers. Technology in general, as soon as we finish an online lesson, we go to our bed for a break and just go straight on our phone, on social media and stuff. And even I do it. I sometimes go on my phone too much. I get a headache. Like we know we all go on our phones too much, so which can obviously have a bad effect on our mental health. So we're going to challenge you once a day to just get outside, do some exercise. It doesn't have to be necessarily exercise. Go for a walk. Just go outside, play with your siblings, do anything, but try not to bring your phone, because in these times, I think technology is probably one of the not worst things in general for us, but if you go on it too much, it's not good. So that's our challenge for you, because obviously the most important thing is helping others, but you got to help yourself as well. And I think that will really help, just the small things, to protect your mental health.